Other than Mark Cuban, Lori is by far the most sought-after shark on Shark Tank due to her ability to blow up products on TV. Whether that be the Simply Fit board or the Scrub Daddy, if the product is easily demonstrable, Lori is often the best choice. In fact, 3 out of the top 5 best performing Shark Tank deals were with Lori. Due to this marketing superpower, Lori is often called the queen of QVC, but it's never really made clear how Lori made her money in the first place. So here's the story of Lori Greiner and how she became the queen of QVC. Taking a look back, Lori was born on December 9, 1969 in Illinois, Chicago. Her father was a real estate developer while her mother worked as a psychologist. Thanks to her parents' well-paying careers, Lori never had too much trouble financially. But she did have some trouble emotionally as her parents would divorce when she was just 9 years old. Anyway, as a kid, Lori's dream was to be a famous journalist. And in turn, she would major in communications with a focus on journalism, television, and film at Loyola University. While completing her bachelor's, Lori also got a job at the Chicago Tribune, presumably as an intern or an assistant. She probably could have turned this entry-level job into a long-term career, but after graduation, Lori decided to go down a different path. This included working as a playwright and a jewelry seller, which eventually led her into designing a plastic earring organizer in 1996. Luckily for Lori, just 8 months after creating the organizer, she would successfully sell it to JCPenney. It's not clear how much JCPenney paid for the invention, but we do know that it was enough for Lori to pay off her $300,000 loan. With one successful product in the books, Lori continued to tinker with cosmetic organizers, jewelry boxes, and other small household items. As she churned out new designs and clever modifications, Lori patented her products and sold them in various ways. Sometimes she sold the rights to her products to big retailers like JCPenney, and other times she decided to sell her products herself. And back in the day, the easiest way to sell any product was to get it on TV. So, in the late 1990s, Lori made a deal with the Home Shopping Network to get some of her products on air. Lori didn't just go all in on TV though. She also pursued the retail space by getting her products into Bed Bath & Beyond. All of this allowed her to achieve moderate success, but her biggest jump forward didn't come till 2000 when she launched Clever and Unique Creations on QVC. As you probably already noticed, Lori is not like the rest of the sharks as she never really started her own business. She was always more of an inventor than a businesswoman, and she cleverly played into this with her TV show. The premise of Clever and Unique Creations is pretty straightforward. In every episode, Lori and a few other hosts review regular household items with crafty modifications. For example, she might review a purse with a slot for your smartphone, or she might review a mixing bowl with a scooper. None of these products are game-changing by any means, but usually they each have their own little quirks and make life just a bit easier for the target audience. So far, the show has run for 11 seasons, which makes it one of the longest-running shows on QVC. Aside from featuring other people's products on her show, given that Lori is an inventor, it's not surprising that Lori often features her own products as well. Nearly all of Lori's products are under a company called For Your Ease Only. You're probably not familiar with this name, as For Your Ease Only is less of a brand and more of just a holding company. If you look up the company, you're not going to find a well-designed online store or even much of an online presence. The first links that pop up are just a bunch of random eBay listings trying to resell her products. Though Lori doesn't use this company as a marketing or branding tool, she does use it heavily as a filing and litigation tool. If we scroll through Lori's patents, the first thing we'll notice is that she has loads of patents. So far, she has a total of 113 patents. The second thing you'll notice is that most of these patents are under her company For Your Ease Only. Usually, these patents are quite broad and overarching. Take this fragrance-emitting snow globe patent for example. The summary of the patent is that it is a snow globe assembly for emitting a fragrance to an ambient environment. I assume that this blocks others from making a snow globe with the same fragrance-emitting mechanism. But really, how hard would it be to make a slightly different mechanism? Considering this, I'm not really sure how effective or useful these patents are. Not to mention, many of these patents seem to be reaching, but I'll let you guys be the judge of that. But anyway, now that Lori had gained some significance on TV, she would start to expand her business into other sectors. One of the easiest ways to profit off of your fame is to sell a book, and that's exactly what Lori would do. In 2014, Lori launched her book, Invent It, Sell It, Bank It, Make Your $1 Million Idea into a Reality. As the title suggests, the book discusses how to turn an invention into a business and how to turn that business into financial freedom. So far, the book has 844 ratings with the vast majority being positive, but there's a good amount of criticism as well. One of the biggest critiques seems to be that Lori's book is too broad. One reviewer described that it was like trying to learn how to create a product from 30,000 feet in the air. Aside from being too broad, other critics have pointed out that the book doesn't really teach you how to grow an invention from scratch. To succeed with Lori's strategy, you would need at least $100,000. However, if you already have the money and the idea, the book may help you with manufacturing and scaling. Aside from launching a book, Lori has also cleverly leveraged her fame to become a speaker. According to Speaker Booking Agency, she charges between $50,000 and $100,000 per speech. If you opt for a virtual speech, you might be able to score a speech for less than $50,000. Honestly, it's not a bad price given that that's how much she earns from each episode of Shark Tank. Anyway, moving into Shark Tank, Lori made her first appearance on the show in 2012, 3 years after the show was started. So far, she's made a total of 61 deals on air, which comes out to a total of $9.5 million. Unfortunately though, Lori has the second lowest closing rate out of all the regular sharks, with less than half of her deals closing at 48.6%. Despite the low closing rate, it seems like the ones that do close perform far better than all the other sharks' deals. And that brings us to Lori's knack for choosing hero products. Amongst all the regular sharks on Shark Tank, I think Lori is by far the most motivated to find and grow hero products. This is because Lori is the only shark on the show that's actually trying to grow her net worth using deals on the show. The rest of the sharks are really just there for fun most of the time. Robert retired 20 years ago and he entered business again because he was too bored at home. Meanwhile, Kevin could easily be a billionaire today, but he prefers to preserve his wealth than grow his wealth. And as for Mark Cuban, I think he just likes being the billionaire on TV. Considering this, I think it's pretty clear that Lori takes these investments the most seriously, and that's why she's the top choice for many entrepreneurs. Her deals aren't always the cheapest in terms of equity, but she's the most willing to get her hands dirty and actually grow the business with the entrepreneur. And there's no better proof to this than her home run products, starting with the Scrub Daddy. The Scrub Daddy was right up Lori's alley given that it was simply a smart modification to an everyday product. The entrepreneur only asked for $100,000 in return for a 10% stake in the company, but Lori ended up investing $200,000 for a 20% stake. Since then, Lori has secured Scrub Daddy multiple spots on QVC, which have exploded sales. She also helped them expand into big box retailers like Walmart and Target and expand internationally to 17 different countries. Thus far, Scrub Daddy has pulled in a total of $209 million worth of sales. Until recently, it was the most successful deal in Shark Tank history. Another one of Lori's hero products was the Squatty Potty. This product seemed pretty weird at first glance as it promised to help with bowel movements. But nonetheless, Lori went ahead and invested $350,000 in return for 10% of the company. Since then, this product has turned into the third most successful deal in Shark Tank history, pulling in a total of $164 million. Moving into another mega hit product, we have the Simply Fit board. This product was honestly just a fat exercise product like shake weights. But Lori cleverly got in before the product went exponential, which proved to be extremely profitable. She invested a total of $125,000 for a 20% stake in the company. And since then, Simply Fit board has pulled in a whopping $160 million in lifetime sales. Some of Lori's other most successful investments include Bantam Bagels, Everlywell, Bug Bite Thing, and Hug Sleep. Considering all these successful investments, I think Lori is by far the most successful investor on Shark Tank. In March of 2020, Lori hit a cumulative $1 billion worth of sales across all of her Shark Tank investments, and I believe Lori is the only shark to achieve this feat. As you would guess, all these investments have made Lori even wealthier, and that brings us to Lori's net worth today. Just a couple of years ago, before all her Shark Tank investments blew up, Lori's net worth was estimated to be $50 million. While that's a solid amount, it's only 1/3 of her $150 million net worth today. And honestly, I think her net worth is a lot higher than even that. If we split Lori's cumulative $1 billion worth of sales over her 8 years on Shark Tank, we get $125 million per year in revenue. But really, we can't split it evenly over the years given that businesses grow exponentially. So a more realistic estimate would be $0 in annual sales in 2012 and $250 million in annual sales by 2020. Basically, all of Lori's investments are within the consumer discretionary industry, and the consumer discretionary companies in the S&P 500 enjoy a price-to-sales ratio of 13.15. Even if we estimate conservatively and give Lori's investments a price-to-sales ratio of 12, we get a cumulative valuation of $3 billion. This is an extremely conservative estimate given that Everlywell itself just completed a funding round with a $2.9 billion valuation. Anyway, Lori's median stake comes in at 17%. Even if we assume that she gets watered down to 10% on average, that's $300 million worth of equity just from Shark Tank deals. Combine this with everything else she does, and I think $300 to $500 million is a much more reasonable net worth estimate for Lori. And at the rate she's been growing, it's just a matter of time until she hits the billion-dollar net worth mark. And that's how Lori became the queen of QVC. Are you guys a fan of Lori? Comment that down below. Also, drop a like if you're rooting for Lori. And of course, consider joining our Discord community to suggest future video ideas and consider subscribing to see more questions logically answered. But until then, I'm Hari, and I'll see you guys on the next one.